What's good, y'all, man? It's time to react. Way too early, top 25 via Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman, man. So, y'all know I usually do videos like this throughout the week, during college football season when I talk about the top 25, my thoughts, anything I would change, how the teams fare the week before, the upcoming matchups, yada, yada. But this is a way too early. So obviously we know today is the last day officially of college football for the 2024 season, or 2024/2025 season with the national championship tonight against Ohio State and Notre Dame. I'll have a video dropping here soon on who I'm taking. But let's take a look at the way too early top 25 and teams I want to take notice of. All right, first off, as you guys can see, Nebraska's on there. Had a decent season, obviously, with Dylan Raiola. Showed some nice promise. Had some big wins in there. Had some big losses as well, but going to return some good guys next year. So they should be a team to watch and continue to see what they're able to do. One I do want to mention is Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech getting some love from these two. Not in a lot of way too early top 25s when you look at everybody else's, but I feel like Wasserman and obviously Staples know what they're talking about. And again, I think Tech is that next team to take that step, right? Now we've seen with basketball and everything, they were supposed to take that step this year, but only 6 guys playing right now, everybody injured. We know the reason for that. But the Yellow Jackets, right? You got the best QB room returning back in 2025, right? When you look at Aaron Philo and obviously Haynes King, Aaron Philo's rated at 92.1 for this past season. King was rated at 85. You're going to lose, obviously, Eric Singleton Jr., who's now with the Auburn Tigers. You know what I'm saying? But you bring in guys like a Dean Patterson and Eric Winters to go along with Malik Rutherford and the guys that had pretty impressive seasons last year. Still didn't get a lot of playing time, but when they were used, they showed you their ability. Isaiah Canyon, right? Bailey Stockton. And then in the running game, I think this is probably the most complete running back room Georgia Tech has had. When you look at Jamal Haynes back another year, a near 1,000-yard rushing this past season, and then you look at Malachi Hosley coming in from UPenn as a transfer, still got young studs in Anthony Carey and obviously Traylon Maddox. You're looking at a running back room that's going to be very, very good. And it's not to mention the 2025 class with Shane Marshall and several others coming in along with this class and J.P. Powell. So I think this offense has the makers to be very dangerous and very elite this upcoming year. You know what I'm saying? Will it get done? We will see. And the underrated part of the defense will be that secondary. I think they have a chance to be special and one of the best in the ACC when you break everything down. The transfers that they brought in, the different guys they're going to have in the 2025 class, that was very impressive. You know what I'm saying? We look at Tay Harris and Dalen Pinson, and you look at DeQuan White coming in, along with guys that got coming back, and Omar Daniels and Clayton Powell-Lee. They're going to have a really good secondary. The biggest question will be the linebacker spot and the defensive line. Can you create pressure, with your front four, and can you get to the quarterback and have more sacks? There was one of the bottom-ranked teams in getting to the quarterback this past season, but I had a top 30 rushing defense. Should be interesting to see what Tech does this year, but I want to give that full spill of my thoughts on them landing in. Could be a team, a sleeping giant, potentially. Not saying that they're going to knock everybody off, but it could be a team you'd be like, oh, wow, they're 9-3, they're 10-2. Whoa, where did this come from? They could be that this next season. All right, next up is Indiana. We'll see what happens with them. I've gotten some comments that said Curtis Roke is likely done. So obviously they'll have a new quarterback at the helm, but I really like their head coach. I think they had a decent recruiting class in 2025. Obviously got some transfers coming in and things like that. But Indiana, how do you build off success from 2024, right? Making the college football playoff, being one of the better teams in college football. How do you build on that? Same thing with SMU. SMU's interesting. Preston Stone transferred out. Kevin Jennings struggled, in the college football playoff. And, obviously, like I said, not a great performance against Penn State, but showed you what he could do against Clemson in the ACC championship game, being able to come up big and getting them in position to win the game. Just couldn't quite get the stops, big-time kickoff return, the rest, man. So what kind of step does he take forward? How does SMU replenish their defense, in the transfer portal and things like that? That would be something to watch. Miami, we will see. Obviously, I think Mario Cristobal is the right head coach at the helm. We had one of our better seasons in the past 10 to 15 plus years. But how good is Carson Beck, right? We're going to find out. Do you have to supply him with a whole bunch of weapons, or can he overcome different things? We have not seen that yet in his career. So my biggest question with Miami and my favorite team is the quarterback spot. Now, if you're Kansas State, right, you got A.B. Johnson, sophomore. He'll be a junior next year. Pretty good season. No more DJ Giddens. Had a great year for them. 1,300 yards rushing this past year for the Wildcats. How do you replace his production? Dylan Edwards looks like the guy, obviously, there, right? And then if you're Kansas State, you didn't finish the season strong. You lost 3 of your last 5 games. How do you improve towards the latter half of the season? We're going to find out. Now, Texas A&M, same kind of thing. Lost 3 straight games towards the back end, right, of the season. Now, obviously, they had a QB change. Marshall Reed came in, showed some flash, right? Beat some pretty big teams, beat LSU, lost obviously on the road you know what I'm saying, to South Carolina. What steps does he take forward? And you also got a boost coming back now for your football team with Le'Veon Moss coming back another year, who proved he was one of the best running backs in the SEC before he got injured, right? Now, defensive-wise, I thought the line was really good and stout last year or this past season. But now you're going to lose Nick Scourton, who's going to go to the NFL draft. How do you replace his production? What young guys can you depend on? Those are some of the biggest questions there. Oklahoma is going to be the quarterback, right? Defense showed some improved compared to obviously years past under Coach Brett Venables, but you need a quarterback in there to make the throws, and you obviously got to surround him with the talent, right? Obviously, Jackson Arnold has left; he's no longer there. How do you replace that production? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you got the young quarterback Hawkins, or do you go somewhere else? Obviously, I think they got a portal guy as well. We'll see what happens there. Now, Arizona State going to look a little bit different. I believe Sam Leavitt's coming back for another year, but Cam Scatterble, I'm pretty sure, is entering the NFL draft. But how do you replace his production, everything he gave you? But Arizona State, I can say this, they're doing a great job recruiting. A lot of people after seeing that run, you know what I'm saying, to the quarterfinals, they want to play for Arizona State. They like what Coach Dillingham is doing. So that's going to be a team to continue to watch. Same thing, BYU, I think, had a semi-disappointing year. They won a lot of games, but not where they wanted to be. They wanted to be in the college football playoff, I can tell you that. I can tell you one thing, they always have a well-coached unit, and they always play for each other, man. So that's going to be another team. Just what steps can you take forward from last year? All right, now it's time to get to the nitty-gritty. LSU, right? Biggest thing, Garrett Nussmeier. Can he take that step forward, right? What's the health of Weeks going into next year, right? Great job in the portal, bringing in a Patrick Payton to go along with the Harold Perkins, who's coming back another year, right? You like what you look like there. They got to improve the defensive numbers just a little bit, but you feel pretty good about this LSU team moving forward. Obviously, some different things happen with Kyron Lacey and everything like that, but going forward, you like what they added. You like what they're bringing in. You know what I'm saying? And at least you get Nussmeier for another year. Now, it's going to be important that they recruit the 2026 class hard at quarterback to make sure they're good when he does eventually leave. Alabama, probably a very disappointing season for most Bama fans, especially not making the college football playoff, 9-3. Most teams, that is a win, but this is the brand or one of the brands of college football. But now you move on, right? No more Jalen Milroe. He's entered the NFL draft. Who will be the starter for you week 1? You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest question surrounding Alabama. Lost some guys, obviously, in the portal. No Caleb Odom anymore. But you feel good about what you're returning back. Jalen Backway comes back. Obviously, Ryan Williams is another one that comes back. Jan Miller. No more Justice Haynes. How do you replace everything and get it back up to snuff? Now, Tennessee is very interesting. I really like their receiving core. I know they lost Squirrel White, who ended up leaving. But they got some young thoroughbreds, man, that can really ball. Mike Matthews, what steps does he take forward? I'm curious to see. Obviously, the next one will be, Travis Smith Jr. Can he see the field year 1? He could potentially be a threat. We'll find out what happens there. Really good running backs. You know what I'm saying? And Nico Alemilewa back for another year. It's time for him to take that next step forward in the decision of his career. Michigan, awesome finish to the season. One of the best finishes that you'll see, beating and throttling Alabama. Just what you want to see from your group and your team. The biggest question, how good will Bryce Underwood be in year 1? You know what I'm saying? Can he be that savior almost for the Michigan Wolverines, right? Very good defense. I think will be even better in the next year. Can he be that guy for you? And you also beat your arch rival, Ohio State. Next up, Auburn. Same kind of thing. I hate to be, beating a dead horse here, but quarterback, right? You bring in Jackson Arnold. Obviously, you got Deuce Knight, who will be obviously 2025, but you got to figure it out. You got too many elite weapons, right? Obviously, you won't have your running back anymore who's entering the NFL draft, but you got Eric Singleton Jr., you got a Cam Coleman, you got a Malcolm Simmons. Should be no more excuses. Clemson making a great decision in hiring, obviously, the defensive coordinator for Penn State now. Your defense should be a lot better going in 2025. Can Cade Klubnik, without that unit and those receivers, take a big step forward? Florida, that's my sleeper for next year. I think they're going to be a very good team with DJ Lagway. Don't sleep on them. Next up, South Carolina, the Norris Sellers. Hey, man, let's see what step forward you can take. All SEC third team. I want to see what he's able to do this next year. Fighting Illini, man, they're going to be a team to watch. Obviously, we'll see what they're able to do. Had a pretty good season, man. Was ranked multiple times throughout the year. Can they take a step forward offensively? Biggest question. Georgia is Georgia. Obviously, they didn't like where they finished, but now you got a new quarterback. Will it be Gunnar Stockton, or will it be somebody different at the starting role? We will find out, but a very good team, a good 2025 wide receiver class coming in. Notre Dame, we'll see. They're going to lose, obviously, some guys tonight after tonight's game, right? Xavier Watson, sure, is going to enter the NFL draft, but a really good unit. Got to keep Coach Marcus Freeman if you can. Penn State, you return Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, and obviously Drew Aller. Defense is going to look a little different, but you retain a lot of guys. Should be to take a step forward. Oregon, who will be your quarterback? Elite 25 class coming in. Ohio State is the Ohio State. And we already talked about Texas. Can Arch Manning be that guy year 1? We'll see.